Coming to you from Evolving Wilds on the plane of Zendikar. It's Tap Tap Concede. Hey, it's Tap Tap Concede, and Evolving Wild gets around.
Yeah, no, it's
wow.
It's a limited star.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to call Zendikar. It's my favorite plane.
You wanted to call Zendikar?
It's okay.
Oh. It's mine. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Magic Origins pre-release episode of Tap Tap Concede. Today, we will be talking to you about our pre-release experiences from Saturday, July 11th, 2015. We're going back tomorrow. So hopefully we learn some stuff from each other today.
Please.
And
I hope so.
Two of us can do better than we did today. And surprise, somebody did very well. But we'll get to that.
I'm a bad player.
We'll get to that in a minute. But first, it's Crack-a-Pack.
Nice.
And normally we would roll, but not today. Today we open from Magic Origins because that just makes sense. So
yeah.
Let's crack into this.
Spoiler, someone in our group did well enough to win at least one pack.
Yep, that was me.
James.
These are my cards. Back off. All right, so we're looking at these from a draft standpoint. Let's pick our first pick. Catacomb Slug, a card that I did not see at all today.
No, I didn't see a single player play that.
4 and a black for a 2/6 Slug.
I
This
think,
card's terrible.
Yeah, no.
This card has never been good, and I don't think Origins is going to be where it starts.
I mean, maybe if you're stabilizing on turn 5 against like a renowned deck, you're already in deep trouble.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
If you're casting 5, it should be killing something or winning the game.
Agreed. Next, Subterranean Scout. 1 and a red for a 2/1 Goblin Scout. When it enters the battlefield, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn.
It seems
It's fine.
Really
seems
good.
fine for getting
Yeah,
your
like-
renowned creatures in.
Yeah.
Certainly, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. Like playing out a 2-drop Renown guy and then dropping this guy on 3
Yeah.
and
I like
getting
that.
in for that Renowned. Yeah.
That little bit of
seems-
pressure. Well, there's a lot of 2 power, but like sort of turtle shapes, 2 4s,
Yeah.
2 5s in
Yeah.
the set. So, and death touch creatures. So that's even more so than on turn 3 at a lot of points in the game. That's relevant. Or getting around a flyer with your bomb.
Yep.
Yep.
I really, really like that card. In an aggressive deck, I like it a lot.
Yeah. Agreed. Oh, by the way, I'm James, and I'm joined with Cam and Serge this week.
Hi, we just got right into it. We're stoked.
Yeah, I apologize. Next up is Vastwood Gorger. 5 and a green for a 5/6. Vanilla, that's it. It's a worm. This guy is always fine. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a big guy on 6, and it's hard to block him, and it's hard to... Yeah, he's just fine.
I mean, I'm pretty happy to have one of these in my deck.
Yeah, I went up against this guy, I think, twice today, and he does work. He's just a big body. So, next up, Disperse. 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
Like it a lot.
Yeah,
Very powerful.
It's a blue bounce spell at 2. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it's instant speed. So you're always playing this in your blue deck. Next up, Llanowar Empath. This card's kind of interesting. 3 and a green for a 2/2. So, not very good. But when it enters the battlefield, you scry 2. That's pretty sweet. And then reveal the top card of your library. And if it's a creature card, put it into your hand.
Yeah.
This seems really good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a 2/2 for 4 is okay if you're getting some decent upside, and I would say this is pretty good upside, especially in a green-based deck where you're playing more creatures than maybe any other deck.
Yeah.
You really, I mean, obviously if you whiff on that scry and don't hit a creature, you're sad, but you're still scrying
Well,
too.
you're still scrying.
Yeah, right?
You're
like,
scrying too, and
exactly.
like on turn 4, like on turn 5, the green deck can drop some fairly scary cards. So sometimes, like, you know, this guy lands, your opponent scries 2, reveals like this 5-drop, and you're like, well, time to bite down on the bell.
Yeah.
Like, this is turn 5's not going to be any fun.
Well, there's
All right.
the times you have a 5-drop in hand and you need that land.
Yeah.
And that digs you into the 5th land to
Yeah,
curve
when your
out.
opponent reveals the land, you're
Yeah.
like, uh-oh.
All right, next up, Enlightened Aesthetic.
Boo
One,
earns.
1 and a white for a 1/1, so no already. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target enchantment. No.
I didn't see enough enchantments. I mean, going through the pre-release, there's some fairly powerful effects, but I had this guy in my sideboard, and never put him in.
Yeah.
I ran into one enchantment that really scared me, and that was the one that whenever you play another enchantment, you get an angel, a 4/4 angel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
wow,
yeah. That's
scary. Yeah, that you would definitely bring this in for, I think. But basically every other enchantment, not as much, right?
Sigil
Then again,
of the
I fought
Empty
through that
Throne?
card. Yes, Sigil of the Empty Throne.
I don't even know if there's enough enchantments in Limited to really get enough value out of that. I mean,
Also,
maybe if you're
they're
Going
black-white.
straight into my Obzon enchantment deck.
There are.
They had that for... I mean, that card existed before. This is a
This is from
reprint.
Ben.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is from Alara, I think.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's from Alara. I'm excited. All right, next up, we have the Fire Fiend Elemental. 3 in a red for a 3/2 elemental. It has haste, and it has Renown 1. And Renown, just so you guys know, when this creature deals combat damage to a player, if it isn't renowned, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it becomes renowned. So if you play this guy down on 4 and he attacks and goes unblocked, he becomes a 4/3.
I like this guy a lot.
Yeah.
I
if you're
opened 2, played 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in red, I don't think there's a reason not to play this card.
Yeah.
Never sad to top deck this guy.
Yeah, seems sweet. All right. Rabid Bloodsucker. 4 and a black for a 3/2 vampire. It has flying. When it enters the battlefield, each player loses 2 life. Each player. So you lose 2 life as well. So I don't know about this guy.
No.
Seems kind of...
Well, this is like, there's the Suicide Black strategy, right?
yeah?
But that's normally playing 1 and 2 drops that hit you. It's not playing overcosted 5 drops that...
Yeah.
You know, Sui Black is, I'm going to play a 2/2 for 1 that's going to dome me on my upkeep.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a bad version of a card from the core set. They used to have a 2/2 flying vampire for 2 colorless black, and they would lose 2 and you'd gain 2.
Right.
And then even that is worlds better than this, and that card wouldn't always see play.
Yeah. All right. So kind of meh. Scrapskin Drake. 2 and a blue.
Happy Scrappy Hero
Yeah,
Pup.
for a 2/3 flyer. It can only block creatures with flying. That's fine.
Oh, totally
it's
fine.
It's a 2/3 flyer for 3. You play this in every blue deck.
Was
Yeah,
that from
this-
Innistrad reprint?
Yeah.
Or Dark
This
Ascension
is
or something?
what the blue tempo deck wants.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's like, can't...
Avacyn?
Avacyn?
Okay.
Avacyn. Can't block, who cares?
Yeah.
It's never
never blocking, yeah.
It's never not attacking.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't block if you're sideways.
How about Seismic Elemental? 3. I don't know what this card is. 3 red for a 4/4.
good, is what it
okay,
is.
I'm okay with that. When it enters the battlefield, creatures without flying can't block this turn. Oh man, I would have loved this card in my deck
Yeah.
today. Wow. That's unfortunate. This
Now,
card seems sweet.
That's a 5-drop. That's what a 5-drop is supposed to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially a 5-drop at the uncommon common level. Like
Yeah.
it's powerful, but not too powerful. But it certainly has that lasting effect.
That's a
on it.
finisher.
That's
You
fun.
see so many times in
Yeah.
Limited, you've got this Cold War building up
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
attacks aren't favorable, so you just wait, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, none of your creatures can block. GG.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Call of the Full Moon is our next uncommon. 1 and a red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+2 and has trample. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, sacrifice Call of the Full Moon.
I like this card a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah, I've heard people say, or like, people have said, this card is not really an aura. This is a sorcery that's like, get +3/+2 trample.
Yeah.
And maybe you get it next turn too.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they play 2 spells to put this to the graveyard, you're like, yeah, all right.
You got a pump spell.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you got in for some damage.
Careful, because it
seems fine.
counts your spells as well.
Yeah.
So like you can't play anything after you play this or before it.
Yeah.
Right?
But why would you ever want to?
Well, normally if you go creature, this guy, and you're like, okay, I need to maximize my mana. You're like, oh no, I did it wrong.
So like, is the dream like playing that one drop goblin, turn 2 this thing?
Yeah, you know, hit for 4, now it's a 5/5.
And then
Yeah.
because it's renowned.
With
yeah.
all, with
Yeah,
all
and
the
then like it's going to be like 2 or 3 turns before your opponent can cast two or more spells,
that
and then you
seems
just
pretty-
like you
seems super
just draw
greasy.
cards,
Yeah.
and
or have 4 power to double block it. I mean,
Yeah.
that this reminds me of Invisible Stalker with a Bone Splitter, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just a very, very hard to deal with clock. That's going to, yeah, I like this card a lot.
Paul?
Is it just me, or is there a huge fail in terms of flavor that it doesn't say creature is a werewolf in addition to all its other types?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Because it's the werewolf effect from Innistrad.
yeah, well,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Marshall was saying, this is probably in the card file from Innistrad.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like,
just
oh no, we forgot
man,
to
we
print
should-
it.
Yeah, we should probably.
That's
print
also a
this card.
huge werewolf. Like, look at the size of it compared to the size of the horse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever stood next to a horse?
they are large.
They're enormous. Unless
Although-
it's eating a pony, in which case that werewolf's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
That barrel looks suspiciously small as well. The barrel next to it looks like the size of a horse's head. That's a small barrel.
Okay. that's-
Everything is weird in this card. This perspective is all off.
No, nothing adds up
Nils
here.
Ham, you're on notice.
Oh man, what did I call the flavor judge on today? I can't remember. But
All right.
we're getting close on this one.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving on here. Shaman of the Pack. One black green. So it's one of the 10 one of the 10 gold cards at uncommon.
Yep.
It's a 3/2 elf shaman, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. In limited, this card is probably not that good.
It hit me for one a couple of times.
Yeah, from what I understand, in like modern elves or like basically any of the other eternal formats that have elves decks, this is pretty big news.
Well, this is like your Crater Hoof 5 through 8,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not that excited about it. I only have a little bit of experience in Legacy, but it's very rare for them to play a 3-drop, and I don't know if the impact's that huge.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I
there's
could be
probably going to
wrong.
be an elf deck in Standard, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it domes
Yeah,
you,
I mean, it's certainly, I feel like we need some more elves for there to be standard.
yeah, like
elves.
you hit Cradle Hoof, you win.
Yeah.
You drop this thing, you dome them for 5 or 6. It's not
Yeah.
quite the same
Yeah,
effect.
fair enough.
Paul?
I was just saying there are 14 elves in
Origins?
In Origins.
Yeah, and I expect to see them in the.
I mean,
Elder-
obviously some of those are rares, and
Right.
like Nissa is one of those. but-
Yeah, but I mean, in a constructed format, certainly it could be a thing.
I mean, Shaman of the Pack is still good if you drain for 3.
Yeah.
all right, let's check out our.
Yeah. Show me the rare.
We have a foil.
Ooh.
A Crowan Jailer. It's a 1/1 for 1 white. 2 and a white to tap target creature.
Didn't this guy just used to tap a target creature?
And this
like
guy used
M12?
to. It used to tap, and then it used to be 1, and
Yeah.
now it's 3.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is where this card is going to stay.
Yeah.
I think WotC is pretty keen on keeping these tappers a little bit higher costed than they used to, and that's fine. I feel like something that can tap down a creature for just a single white mana is just completely insane.
Yeah.
It's just oppressive. So
I'd
I'm
be
okay
pretty
with it.
happy with that foil in my pack. If I could play more than one of those, because I got a basic and a foil, I'd be stoked.
Okay, so our rare is kind of interesting. It's
Okay.
Outland Colossus. So this is a 3 green for the 6/6 giant
Right.
with Renown 6, and it can't be blocked by more than one creature. Can't be blocked by more than one. So you're always basically just going to have to chump block this thing unless you have something basically of equal or greater toughness. And that's uncommon, especially if this dude gets in for any amount of damage at any point,
Yep.
because then it becomes a 12/12. Adam, who was also at the pre-release today with us, this was his promo card. And I know there were times when he really liked it, and there were times when it just didn't do anything, because for as big as it is, it can still just be chump blocked all day, every day. And I
Yep.
know the one time when he got really kind of hosed on that was going up against a Thopter deck.
Yeah. Well, against like you look at this guy and you're like a 6/6 for 5 that becomes a 12/12.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your opponent resolves Thopter Spy Network, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I still think that's fine. I still
yeah.
think that's
No, I
great.
mean-
That's just like being like, I don't like Tarmogoyf because it's a 4/5 for 2. It doesn't do anything. It's if you get a 12/12 for 5 and they can block it, you still have a 12/12 for 5.
Well, I mean, like you're abyssing them every turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I would certainly first pick this, and this is probably the
Oh,
card.
absolutely.
This is the card that I absolutely first pick out of this pack, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No questions. So,
Well, there's no Thopter cards in it, right? So-
exactly. There are no Thopter cards in it, so what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
All right.
they don't have the answer. You can already see that.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so there is our Crack-a-Pack. Let's talk about the pre-release. So for anybody who is maybe unaware, the pre-release, they work in a way that you go in and you choose which planeswalker you want to align yourself with. So
Yep.
you choose from the 5 colors, and you get a box of 6 packs of Origins, along with 1 pack of supplemental cards that comes with, is it 2 uncommons?
A rare.
4 commons and a rare, or is it?
I think it's 2 uncommons.
It's 7 cards.
It's 7 cards, but it's the same every time. It's 2 uncommons.
Yeah.
I think it's 2, 4, and 1.
And important to note, not guaranteed to get the Planeswalker you've aligned yourself with.
You're not guaranteed to get the Planeswalker. Now, can you get any Mythic?
Well, Planeswalker's...
But
isn't it a Mythic?
Well, Planeswalker is a Mythic, but I'm curious.
I'm trying to think if I saw any Mythic
I didn't see any Mythic promos, so I don't actually know if you can get... Because you can get any rare, I think. Or almost every rare.
Yeah, Adam got the Outland Colossus.
Yeah.
I heard speculation that you could get a Mythic,
Yeah.
but I don't know either way.
I would be surprised if you couldn't.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's how it works. So I went in and I picked red. I picked Chandra because I like red. So I opened up my pack, and I will quickly read off my deck to you guys, and then I'll quickly go over a couple cards that I thought were quite good.
When are we going to spoil our record to everyone?
After you're done talking about your deck.
Okay.
All right, so here's my deck quite quickly. Goblin Pile Driver.
Nice.
That is the promo. Goblin Pile Driver. That is the non-promo one I got in the, I think, 2nd pack I opened, so that was pretty sweet. Girapur Gearcrafter? Is that how you pronounce that?
Girapur, I think.
Girapur Gearcrafter. Bogart Brute, Embermaw Hellion, Dragon Fodder, Fiery Impulse, Skyraker Giant, a Crowan Sergeant, a Meteorite, and an Angel's Tomb in my artifact slots. 2 Charging Griffins, Consul's Lieutenant, 2 Stalwart Avens, Hixus, Prison Warden, Amperin Tactician, Knight of the Pilgrim's Road, Knightly Valor, Blessed Spirits, or Creepy Ghost Kids, Heavy Infantry, and Celestial Flare. So I went red-white. My pool was okay, I guess. It was pretty clear to me almost immediately that red was certainly a color that I was going to play, because there were a couple people who did choose a color and then they didn't even play that color.
Yeah.
Like, that'll happen.
Yeah.
But it was pretty clear that I wanted to play red, and it was pretty close between white and black for me, but I ended up going with the white and sort of building this renowned, aggressive red-white deck. So the 2 pile drivers are interesting. So Pile Driver is a 1/2 Goblin Warrior for 1 in a red. And it has protection from blue, which was sometimes important, but often didn't really matter. But it reads, whenever Goblin Pile Driver attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking goblin. So I didn't actually have that many goblins in my deck. I had these 2 guys, I had the Bogart Brute, and then I had the Dragon Fodder. And that's actually it. Like, that's the only goblins I had. That being said, I did manage to at one point go turn 1 Dragon Fodder, turn 2
Judge.
No, sorry, turn 2 Fodder, turn 3 Pile Driver, turn 4 Pile Driver.
You're
right.
Against the dude who is playing blue. Now I will say I was also playing against a dude playing blue who was playing a 60-card deck, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He was just having fun after I think going 0-2 with a really good deck, and then he was just like, "Oh, well, screw this. I'm gonna have some fun now." So he was playing this pretty awesome 60-card blue, green, black deck. I think, I can't remember exactly. So that was pretty impressive, which was a lot of fun. Gearcrafter is insane.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's probably one of the better cards in my deck. It's 2 and a red for a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, I put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature with flying on the battlefield. It is the red Stand Step Outcast.
Yeah.
It is exactly that card, except for in red. This card was sweet. I mean, I guess it's not exactly like Sandstep Outcast, but it's almost exactly like it, because you never ever put a +1/+1 counter on Sandstep Outcast. Nobody ever did that ever. You always got the spirit creature. So this guy was super sweet. Ember Maw Hellion. Whenever I played him, I almost assuredly won, and I would expect that from a 5-drop bomb in rare. It has trample, and it reads whenever another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage plus 1 to that permanent or player instead. So it doesn't actually count itself, so it's always going to get in for 4, but
Keyword being another.
yeah, keyword being another, but it is pretty sweet. Fire Impulse was a shock when I needed to be a shock, and that was great.
Yeah.
It's actually the one thing that this deck really needed was more burn and more removal. I think it probably would have done a little bit better.
Oh, that flavor text is so good.
Yeah. Well, this got out of hand. Meteorite was another removal spell for me, which is just a 5-drop artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you deal 2 damage to target creature or player.
I love that you were playing Meteorite.
Meteorite's sweet. Like, it's a good... I like this card a lot.
5-mana sorcery removal that just sticks around.
And then in my white, I guess some pretty standout cards was Consul's Lieutenant.
That card is so good.
Yeah, so it's white for a 2/1. It's an uncommon human soldier. It has first strike. It has renown 1. So if it gets in, it becomes a 3/2 with first strike. And it also says whenever it attacks, if it's renowned, other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
That's got to be one of the best uncommons in the set.
Yeah.
Really, really, really strong. I needed that in my pool so bad.
Yeah. I was really impressed with it. Unfortunately, it didn't often... I found actually getting renowned in my deck kind of stumbled on the non-flying creatures. I found that almost every matchup I was playing against somebody who was able to sort of match me card for card in the early stages. But creatures like Stalwart Aven, which is the 1/3 flyer for 2 and a white that has flying and renown 1. This card was probably the standout card in my deck. I had 2 of them, and by standout card I mean standout common and uncommon. It was really good. It almost always triggered renown, which always left me with a 2/4, which either was the perfect blocker or just a great attacker, right? And as long as I can kept things down on the ground sort of in check, this guy could just constantly get in. And also somebody on Twitter named him Harvey Birdman, and I think that's phenomenal, and that's his name now, at least for me. So
yeah, super
impressed with the Stalwart. Knightly Valor is probably one of my all-time favorite enchantments. It's 4 and a white for an enchant creature aura. When it enters the battlefield, I put a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance onto the battlefield. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. The card was super awesome. Numerous times I cast this on a flyer, whether it be my Aven or the one lone Thopter that I could produce, but always felt really good. So that was sweet. I also had Celestial Flare, just more removal. At double white, it was a little awkward. My mana base was kind of challenging. I was playing 9/8 in favor of white, and I had a lot of double-costed cards on both sides, so it kind of got a little awkward sometimes, but more often than not I was able to cast this and get my guy. And the last big guy I'll talk about is Hixus, Prison Warden. 3 white for a 4/4 with flash. And it says whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, if Hixus Prison Warden enter the battlefield this turn, exile that creature until Hixus leaves the battlefield. I got blown out by this card, and then I sort of kind of blew out somebody else, and then it didn't really do anything. I just played it as a 4/4 this one other time. But the important thing is make sure you know when to cast this guy.
Yeah.
Because you can't cast him at the end of their turn and expect to exile their creatures. That's not how this card works. It needs to have entered the battlefield. If they need to deal the damage to you while this is in the battlefield.
Right. So this is a declare blockers.
So this is a card that you need to cast when they have declared their attacks, play this, and then don't declare any blockers, and then take some damage but exile all their creatures. That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
That's how I played it. I'm asking the judge now at this point.
Interesting. I may have been doing it wrong all game, and nobody called it on me, because I definitely flashed it into turn, and I might be a huge cheater.
That's how that. But
whenever a creature deals combat, it's not even dealt. It's not past tense. No, I think you're right, and I think I might be a huge cheaty sack, which is neat because I played it against another really experienced player. We both looked at it. We're like, okay, sure.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting about this card is that it does stone nothing in Two-Headed Giant. So if you're going into a Two-Headed Giant event and you have Hixus, your opponent just does all your damage to the other player.
Don't ask me anything about Two-Headed Giant.
Yeah, no, it makes my head hurt. But it's like...
Well, no, don't they have to declare the attacks?
Please don't...
Two-Headed Giant isn't a real format. The point is, like,
I love playing it. I hate judging it so much.
Yeah.
Goblin Guide attacks.
I just love the flavor of that. Like, Hixus flashes in, they're like, oh, we attack this guy. And you're like, Hixus, come on, buddy, you're breaking my balls here. And Hixus is like, look, they attack the other... You want to look at my contract? I'm calling the shop steward now, and I'm grieving this.
Hixus is so weird, because you're like, yeah, total blowout. Like, well, they hit you for 8.
Yeah.
How big of a blowout is that? You have 2 life left.
Because that's what I had to do, is I had to let through 7 damage across 3 creatures and go down to 4. But I took care of all of those creatures and left my opponent with no board state at that point. So I felt really good. But yeah, so just be very aware that that's how you need to play this guy. You can't just play him at the end of turn like big cheaty Serge here. You do have to play
him. Big cheaty McSurge.
Big giant cheaty Judge McSurge. You do have to play him during the declare attacker's step.
Right.
So that's my deck. I went 2-2-1. I started off 0-2 and was feeling pretty bad about myself, and chalked it up to playing on a Saturday, because normally we play on a Sunday. So I just chalked it up to bad luck and playing on weird days. But then I went up against this kid and you played this kid too.
Yeah.
He was probably 12 years old, super nice kid.
Rad kid.
Yeah, probably not super experienced at the game. And it's where I picked up my first win of the day. But he was playing this Grixis brew that he put together. And it wasn't super consistent, and it's probably the reason why he wasn't winning many games. But what he lacked in
deck building
skills, he made up for in his pulls, because he had in all 3 in Grixis all 3 on-color planeswalkers in his deck.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he had also pulled a Days Undoing. Is it Pia and Kieran? What's
Pia and Kieran?
Pia and Kieran Nalaar in his deck as well. Dude was just winning the lottery all day.
Who cares what his record was?
Yeah, and you could tell that he was pretty happy about that, which was sweet.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he opened 3 planeswalkers. One of them was the promo. Chandra, I believe, was his promo card. But man, that was super sweet. So I played that kid in round 2 or round 3 and took that game. And then round 4, I went up against a guy who had gone, I think, 1-2, and then got kind of fed up and was just like, all right, whatever, I'm putting together a 60-card deck now. And it was silly and weird and janky, and I thought he was kidding when he sat down and said, these are supposed to be 60-card decks, right? And I was like, haha, no. Or, I mean, it doesn't really... I didn't even say, haha, no, I just kind of laughed. And he sat down and he dealt his cards, and we started playing. It wasn't until like 6 or 7 turns into the first game where I looked over at his deck, his library, and it was like, wait, are you actually playing 60 cards? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, why? He's like, I don't know, why not? I'm like, cool, good story.
Yeah.
Game 1, he managed to kill me with Demonic Pact. Foiled Demonic Pact.
Nice.
Which is sweet. He got me down to 2, played out the Pact, passed the turn to me. I couldn't kill him. I needed the one card that I had in my deck that would have got him was Meteorite. Because Fiery Impulse doesn't actually target players.
Could you imagine winning with Meteorite?
I did. Not that game,
really?
but I did today. It felt really good.
For you, maybe.
So he was at 4, I was at 2. He passed his turn back. I attacked for 2, but I didn't draw the Meteorite. Passed it back. He's like, you take 4. I'm like, all right. And then he just completely bricked on the next 2 games. He mulled to 5 and mulled to 6, and then I got out the pile driver, Dragon Fodder, and it just smashed his face in, which was fun. And then in the final round, I was hungry, and my opponent wanted to split. or draw. And I was like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. So we went to the bar. We played a couple games for fun. I beat him. So maybe I could have gone 3-2, but I also got food in my stomach. So that was a bigger win than an extra pack of cards. So yeah, it was a good day. I'm excited to go back tomorrow. I think I'll probably be playing black or white tomorrow. I don't know which one. I'll figure it out, but it's going to happen. So that was my pre-release experience. Serge, how about you go next? Cheaty Pants McSurge.
Oh, yeah. I feel a little bit terrible now that I cheated. Unlike James, I arranged my deck by converted mana cost.
Wow, look at you.
I went in and I picked black. And then I realized I didn't look at the box, and I actually had the white one.
So it should be said that Serge was also a judge at this event.
Yeah.
We don't have a dedicated judge staff in the sense that you guys don't play.
Right.
Actually, like, there is dedicated judges, but you guys are actually playing in the tournament.
Well, for the most part, it's because this is a fairly small event.
Yeah.
And so to give as many prizes as possible back to the players, we don't take any compensation as judges. So my compensation is I get to enter the event. So I get to play for free, and then the store comps my entry, but then every player gets to go in and gets prizes. And YJ is very generous with the prizes. They pay out all the way down to 2 wins.
3. Yeah.
So even if you have a losing record, they'll still give you prizes for the pre-release.
Yeah, for just so you guys are... So you know, I went 2-2-1, and I won 3 packs.
Yeah.
If I'd gone 3-2, I would have gotten 4 packs. So splitting seemed like the right call. Take 1 less pack, eat food.
Yeah.
So, anyways, continue. Sorry.
So somehow the cards knew that I was split between white and black. So I got a Cave of Kolios.
Sweet.
And I guess I'll just go through spicy things. I managed to open Little Chad. I got a Kytheon, Hero of Akros, which I was pretty stoked about. And this card is just fantastic.
Sweet.
Really, really, really good. I opened Double Celestial Flare.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a Mighty Leap. I got a Sword of the Animist, which I played and I was pretty excited about, but I don't know if I was supposed to. I don't know if that was the right move or not.
So it's 2 color. It's an equipment. So for 2, and 2 to equip, you get +1/+1. And whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library.
I don't know if it's like a really good or really bad Evolving Wilds.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it seems fine.
I just like thinning my deck like that.
Yeah. I only got it out once, and I lost that game.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was due to that card or not. 2 other artifacts I was playing Throwing Knife, which I liked a lot. I liked Throwing Knife a lot.
Yeah, that's the general consensus I heard from several
2
people.
colorless for an equipment, 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. And whenever you attack, you can sacrifice Throwing Knife to deal 2 damage to target creature or player. So you can use it as a combat trick to remove a blocker and get through, or you can put a creature with evasion has a higher clock, or... It's very, very versatile. I was really impressed with it. A card I was less impressed with, but my pool wasn't very deep, was Alchemist's Vial.
I don't know what this card does.
2 colorless for an artifact. When it comes into play, draw a card. Pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice the vial. Target creature can't attack or block.
Okay.
So it cantrips, and it does something for a turn. I needed a 23rd card. And I saw Jono, who I respect as a limited player a lot. The guy sitting beside me was playing it, and I was like, damn, there we go, 23, get in. Something I was really impressed with, I had 3 of Topan Freeblade.
Yeah.
This guy is a colorless and a white for a 2/2 bear that has Vigilance and Renown 1.
This guy's real.
When I saw that and I saw Baby Chat, I was like, oh man, I'm all in on this white weenie plan. My deck is nuts. And then I realized I didn't have any other creatures under 2, and I probably should have reevaluated my strategy, but I didn't. I got a 1 of Read the Bones. I got Super Sad Baby Blessed Spirits. 2 of Knights of the Pilgrim Road, which is a pretty decent 3/2 for 3 with Renowned. Only 1 of the Stalwart Avon or the Harvey Birdman that we were excited about. I was also really impressed with this. And then 2 5-drops, one of which is not in my pile, and I don't know where it went. I also had Hixus Prison Warden.
Okay.
That was my promo foil. Hixus Prison Warden. That was my promo foil. and I was really quite excited about it. And then my other 5-drop that I'm trying to race and find really quick, it was a black 5-drop for 3 colorless black for a 4/3 demon or something like that. When it came into play, destroy a non-elf creature.
Guilt Leaf.
Oh, yeah.
Guilt Leaf Winnower.
Yeah.
It's an elf.
It is an elf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it kills a non-elf. Yeah, Guilt Leaf Winnower. And I was really impressed with that card. That was sort of my top-end bomb. I think the biggest problem with my deck was not understanding where my curve laid. I thought I had this like hilarious white weenie deck that had a pretty great couple bombs in the 5-drop slots. And that wasn't the case. And so when I was playing out my spells, I did things in the wrong order. I mean, I loved all the cards I had. I was a little bit disappointed in the Topan Free Blades, these 2/2 bears. I thought they were going to be amazing. I thought they were going to be oppressive. But there are so many cards in this set that have a toughness of 4.
Right.
That all this guy does is stares at. And you know, like, please attack, and your opponent's like, why would I attack? That sounds like a terrible idea. I'm just going to sit here and wait for my bigger creatures to come and kill you.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of games with these Free Blades out in play, doing nothing and feeling rather terrible. Overall, I did very, very poorly. I went 1-3-1.
And you cheated a bunch.
I cheated a bunch. I might have to go back through the DCI and penalize myself for that.
Ban yourself for 6 months.
Yeah, that's disappointing to find out after the fact. Yeah, standout cards. If you get the Guilt Leaf lady, it's unbelievable. Very, very, very strong. It also has Menace. As far as mechanics in the new set go, try and prioritize Menace. That card is really, really, really oppressive, particularly because of how the Cold Wars build up between both players. It screws up combat math a lot when you have to double block people.
Yeah.
Things I wish I had were more combat tricks, more evasion. The ground guys weren't great. I don't know. That seems to be about my overall experience.
Cool.
My one draw was hilarious. Round 3, I sat down across from another one of the judges. We were both sitting there at 1-1, and we're both like, it's kind of lunchtime. Do you want to just draw? So it's very rare you'll find the round 3 draw, but when you meet up another judge and both of you realize you're going to have to be there for a couple hours and you won't have as much leisure time as others, sometimes you take the tactical draw.
Yeah.
But I had a bunch of fun. This is the most excited I've been about a limited set in a long time. Flavor-wise, power-wise, just the amount of stuff you can do, it's great. I just feel like I evaluated the meta wrong in thinking that if you have kind of a low curve, you'll be able to race people, but so many 2/4s.
So many 2/4s. All right, Cam.
Okay, so I wound up opening blue.
I am shocked.
Yep.
Wait.
Just completely
Yeah,
blown
no, I
away.
decided to go
open blue?
Yeah, no, I know,
blue.
right? It was like against my better judgment, but
That's weird.
yeah, and what did I play? A Titan Strength, Send to Sleep, Turn to Frog, Anchor to the Aether, 2 Scrapskin Drakes, and a Crowan Sergeant, a Garipur Gearcrafter, 2 Aspiring Aeronauts, a Separatist Void Mage, 2 Fire Fiend Elementals, a Lightning Javelin, Pia and Kieran Nalair, a Ringwarden Owl, Soulblade Djinn, Will Breaker, Chandra's Ignition, Seismic Elemental, Clash of Wills, Hanger Backwalker, and Ravaging Blaze. So there's a few things going on here. One is that I opened 5 on color rares that are all pretty good.
Must be nice.
Yeah, no, it was actually. Thank you for noticing. That was super sweet. And then, like, there's also this Thopter theme. Turns out free evasive 1/1s are actually pretty decent.
Yep.
Like, you get 4 Thopters, and suddenly that's a clock. That's a meaningful clock. The Aspiring Aeronauts are probably the weakest of the Thopter makers. I would trade these in for Garipur Gearcrafters.
What did those do again?
They are a 1/2 for 4 that comes with a Thopter.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, I wasn't happy to be playing them, but you know, they'll swing in for a couple of damage.
The art's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if I could trade them for a Gearcrafter, absolutely,
all day, every day.
no question. Scrapskin Drake was quite good most of the time. It was quite
2, 3 for 3.
Yeah. Because it never blocks, and it actually got me around one of my things where I tend to leave back creatures and play too cautiously. But with this, that I didn't have the option really, because
Like,
you
may as
can't
well
even,
attack, yeah.
you can't even fake the block, right?
Right.
And so I would just like crack in, and then eventually you draw into your solutions. Titan Strength surprised me with how good it is.
I really like Titan Strength in Theros a lot.
Yeah.
It's a great little combat trick. It's cheap, and it's like the scry is certainly not nothing. Right?
Yeah, no, the scry got me out of a few scraps.
Yeah.
Also, like, Titan Strength was really nice with Willbender.
I had an opponent cast it on his upkeep on one of his menace creatures before the draw, because he knew that if he got another pump spell, it'd be lethal.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, well, I'm going to cast it next turn anyway, so I may as well affect my draw. It was brilliant.
Separatist Void Mage I was prepared to be underwhelmed with, but I mean, like, as it turns out, I'll pay for a 2/2 body with an unsummoned staple to it.
It Mana 4 or 4 of War or whatever you want to call it. 4 of
Mana
War,
4.
Mana 4. I like personally.
wow.
Personally, I'm a fan of Mana 4.
Yeah.
But I can understand if you would like to go 4 of War. But it's basically it's pretty clear that 3 and color for a 2/2 body that bounces something is what we're going to be paying for a Mana War these days.
Yeah, like, as it turns out, the central concept
so
is sound.
good.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Oh, good pick on the art for Man War there,
Yeah,
Paul.
that's
I prefer the Visions Mana War, personally, but that's me.
giant jellyfish. and
Jellyfish.
Shark though.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know why
shark being like,
Like that's a pretty art.
Yeah.
Like that's certainly I think better art, but the other one at least
It's eating a shark.
if you're only listening to the podcast, do yourself a favor and go find the Mana War arts. There's a couple different ones, and the one with the giant jellyfish attacking the giant shark is pretty good, pretty spicy.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
my preferred one.
Yeah, the shark is like, no, what are you doing to me, child? Firefiend Elemental never said to top deck this guy.
Which was what again? How
That's a 3/2 with haste
Right,
and
that's
renown
yeah.
for 4. This guy is just like on turn 4. It is almost always trading off for a good creature.
Yeah.
If my opponent blocked it and they traded, I was pretty happy. If my opponent didn't block it and I got a 4/3, I was also pretty happy.
Yeah.
Lightning Javelin, I wish it was one less or an instant or did one more damage.
Yeah, like having it at instant speed would be really good, and I think even just a 3, like a lightning bolt that scries 1 at instant speed for 4 is fine. I don't.
Yeah.
I would like. I'm sure that R&D and the designers had a reason for doing what they do, but this is one of these cards that I see and I'm like, why isn't this an instant, or why doesn't it cost 2 in a red for the sorcery speed? Because I would be a lot happier with it if. Either one of those was true.
The answer is because you're going to play it anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
like you whatever. Like, how much are you going to pay for a lightning bolt with scry on it? As it turns out, you'll pay 4, and you'll gripe about it, but you're going to play
most
it.
people would pay 5 probably.
Yeah.
Right?
It reminds me of draw spells, because you can draw 2 at sorcery speed for 3, or you can draw 2 at instant speed for 4. That's the sort of comparison we're making.
Well, and as it turns out, I was perfectly happy to pay 5 for it because I was also running Ravaging Blaze.
Right, which is Fireball.
Yeah. Well, it's a 2-red Fireball.
Yeah, so red X deals damage to target creature, and if you have Spell Mastery, it also deals that much damage to target player. If that's correct. Yeah, that got me, I think twice, pretty badly today. Can we talk about Willbender or whatever?
Yeah,
this card's stupid. So I don't
honey.
think. Yeah, I don't think I knew what this card did until Cam and I.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Willbreaker.
Yeah, I don't think I knew what this card did until Cam and I played just a fun game in the bar afterwards. And I just played like he what did you cast the 1 in the blue, tap 2 creatures?
Yeah, sent to sleep.
Yeah,
without
and
spell
I'm like,
mastery up.
Yeah, without spell mastery up, and I was like, oh, okay, you tapped down both my creatures, but it's just like, and Cam's like, no, I get them. Wait, what? Why do you get them? And you're like, well, Willbender. I'm like, oh,
Willbreaker.
Or Willbreaker. Yeah, that's
Willbender's
right.
different.
Yeah. Willbreaker. Oh, okay, fine. That sucks. So I give him my 2 creatures, and then I think I attack you again the next turn. And post combat, I believe did you cast Titan Strength?
No, pre-comp. It was on my end step.
Yeah, that's right.
Turn
Yeah,
that I was like, also all Titan Strength. You're like best guy.
Yeah, you took like a flyer or something like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What is going?" And all of a sudden, you had like 3 of my creatures, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, but I burned like 2 combat tricks on it, and I was sad about it.
Oh no, you spent 2
turned my
cards to get
instance-
3 creatures.
yeah, I turned my instance
and
into
the thing
control
that really
magics.
annoys me the most about this card is that it's a 2/3.
Yeah, so it even blocks.
Which means it blocks, and it puts it out of range of basically all my direct damage that was in my
Yeah.
deck. So I was
Meteorite
like,
can't hurt it.
Yeah, Meteorite can't hurt it. How am I supposed to beat this card? If you never attack with it, I can never beat this stupid card.
Well, you'll notice I never attacked with it.
And you keep yeah, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, like, no, I saw you leave 2 white up, James.
Yeah.
I saw you. I
Yeah.
saw you. I saw you leaving that 2 white up, and I was like,
I mean, yeah.
It's one of these cards that when you're looking at a spoiler list and you read, you're disappointed with, and
Yeah.
then somebody crushes you with it in limited, and you're
Yeah.
like, first pick, forever, first pick.
Yeah.
And then like, look at people and why aren't you playing this? Don't you understand how oppressive this card is? Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
don't get it until you play against
like,
it.
this was my promo foil.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, I would have preferred, Disciple of the Ring or something, right? And then I was like, yeah, well, okay, maybe I'll build around it and put in cards that are okay, even without Willbreaker being on the table. And
Yeah.
it turns out that works. Pia and Kieran Nalair. This is big magic. This is big magic going on right here. For 2 and 2 red, you get a 2/2 body, and you're like, okay, keep going. Keep going. They come in with 2 Thopters.
Okay. Now you're
Okay.
good. Now you're at 4 power, 4 toughness,
yeah.
4.
Now
Done.
this seems like a fine uncommon that I might play.
Yeah.
2 and a red, sacrifice an artifact, shock something, or someone.
Or someone, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, they come with 2 bodies for that. That's nice. So like, these guys won me every game that I resolved them,
Yeah.
and that's what they do, right? All they do is win magic. What they were really good with was the turn 2 hangerback walker.
No.
With 1 counter on it.
Yeah.
That you just like tick up, tick up, tick up, and your opponent, like, at one point, like, eventually your opponent's like, okay, I guess I have to suppression bonds this stupid thing. And it doesn't even O-ring it, and Pia and Chandra show up, and they like, or Pia and Kieran show up, sacrifice it, and you get a bunch of Thopters, shock them,
Yeah. Ugh.
and make a bunch more
And make a
ammo
bunch of
for them.
more, yeah. Oh my god, that's depressive. That's
I
gross.
love this card, the Hangerback Walker.
No, yeah,
this card is
so
amazing.
much.
I am really excited to play with this card.
Yeah, no, this card is sweet.
And then, like, Clash of Wills was usually pretty good on turn 2, and it was also pretty good on turn 6.
Which one's Clash of Wills?
It's X blue, counter target spell unless the opponent pays X.
It's syncopate.
Yeah, only it doesn't exile.
Yeah.
Did
right.
you just
Like,
have the one counterspell in the deck?
yeah, it's a tempo deck.
Yeah, and you're always going to play this card.
Yeah,
Like it's fine. At least I think you do.
like if people
like-
are playing undercurve things that don't really bother me, but when they're playing on curve stuff that I really get nervous, and that's what this is for.
Yeah.
Like, this deck just wants to get ahead and stay ahead, and it does that pretty well. What else did I have? Hangerback Walker made me really happy. Soulblade Djinn turns out also really good in a deck full of 1/1 evasive bodies. Like, Titan Strength Soulblade Djinn turn all of your Thopters into 2/2s as well.
What's the Jin do again?
It's a 4/3 flyer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Wow, your pool was bananas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, my pool was like... Turns out I went 4-0 and split because I opened 5 really good cards.
Yay.
Yeah, way to go with the undefeated
And
record.
Just so
Yeah.
we can
Amazing.
keep being happy about prize payout. What'd you get for that?
16 packs.
That's pretty good.
yeah,
YJ is...
How many packs are
is
there in a
pretty
box?
sweet.
36.
36.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
no.
bad. That's pretty sweet.
Tomorrow I have to go like 5-0, and then I can get like an entire box.
You basically,
Yeah.
you just win the entire box. So let's start to wrap this up. What was the single? I guess Cam, you're going to have a hard time talking about it because you're going to
The
lose.
single greatest play?
Not single greatest play. Single most oppressive card that you played against. What card gave you the most trouble? That you played against today. What card hit the battlefield, and did you think immediately, oh crap, or did you maybe think, oh whatever, and then all of a sudden it turns out to be, no, this card is just hard to
The
beat.
White Wrath effect.
The White Wrath effect? Yeah, sure.
Arrogance, something of arrogance. The one
Actually-
where each opponent selects, or no, you choose from among each opponent one permanent of each kind. They sacrifice the rest of them.
3 white, white for sorcery. For each player, you choose from among the permanents that player controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all other non-land permanents he or she controls.
Ooh.
Yeah, this gets around everything, right? Like, it doesn't target players. It doesn't. The players like sacrifice. They don't destroy.
Yeah. Each non-land. Sorry, at first I thought it was Cataclysm, and then I was like, when I didn't see the word land, I may not have read this card before. Yeah. I thought it was Geddon as well.
Oh no,
yeah, no.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, this is what the White Wrath looks like in this set.
Yeah.
And this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It felt bad. Yeah. So that's how I lost one game.
Yeah. Rough. Did you only lose one game of Magic today?
No, I lost 3 games of Magic today.
Okay, so 3 of your 4 rounds went to 3.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's impressive then. That
sounds about really many games I won.
Yeah. Easily the hardest card that I had to face today with was Archangel of Tithes.
I didn't actually see that.
3 white, white, white for a 3/5 flying angel. This is a taxation angel.
Oh, yeah,
as long as Archangel of Tithes is untapped, creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless the controller pays 1 colors for each of those creatures. And as long as it is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures.
This seems like real bad news.
Lot.
This card completely shut me down. I went up against like game 1 of the day, turn 4. My opponent plays out this.
They're only splashing white too, right?
Yeah, no. And I was like, okay, this is what kind of day it's going to be, apparently. And it just wrecked me. This card is completely bonkers. It was completely insane.
I'm trying to figure out how I beat that card. Willbreaker.
Yeah, Willbreaker does it. You just play Willbreaker and then target it with basically anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, why didn't you just play Willbreaker?
I should have played Willbreaker. Serge, did you come up? I mean, obviously you came up against a lot of cards that you had problems
I know.
with.
Anything that had toughness greater than 2, my deck just kind of folded.
Yeah, he came up against an X3 like Willbreaker here, and you were just game over.
Because be like, okay, turn 1, wow, look at this curve. Turn 1, Little Chad. Turn 2, Bear. Turn 3, Bear. What are you gonna do? You can't beat me. Turn 4, a 2/4. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Man, what are you doing in this meta OP 2/4s? Jeez. And I'm like, wait, everybody's playing 2/4s.
Oh, dear.
Maybe I should have paid a bit more attention when I was looking at the set details before I thought White Weenie I didn't even make a White Weenie deck.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the exact one. And then you're like, and you're putting 4 cards in my graveyard just to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
Oh, feels bad.
The worst. The baddest of beats. What's up?
That's actually the only 2/4 in the set.
Yeah, but
normally I'd be feeling pretty good if my opponent plays one of these on 4.
Yeah, Serge.
What you doing, Serge?
Serge, not so much.
It felt so bad.
We'll get him tomorrow.
And they milled you.
I know, and they also milled me.
Yeah.
Don't.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's dirty.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. There was one game, all I needed to do to win was to get the combat trip. I had them down to 2. And my army of 3/3s, because they were down now, are looking at this wall of 2/4s. I'm like, all I need to do is to get the combat trick where I fly over them.
Right.
What is that? Moment of heroism, whatever. Whatever the effect of that is. And then they played another return centaur, and I saw it get milled away. And I was like, my only chance of winning is gone.
Oh, Mighty Leap?
Mighty Leap.
Yeah,
I'm like, this game is over. Mighty Leap was actually my only out.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going back tomorrow.
Yep, running it back.
We're running it back.
I can only improve. That's not true. I could go 0-3-1.
You could go 0-3-1 or 0-5.
Yeah.
Or 0-1 and your deck could just spontaneously catch on fire.
It's true. It's true.
I'm
not judging tomorrow, so I won't feel as bad for my horrible misplays.
That's true. So we'll be back next week. And we'll talk a little about. We won't spend the entire episode talking about our second pre-release, but we'll talk about it a little bit for sure. But for now, let's wrap things up. As always, this podcast is brought to you by you guys over at our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. thanks to you guys, we're able to do awesome stuff like this podcast and the other podcast we do, Lurcast, all the crap shots, Commoner Hustles, a bunch of stuff. And we really appreciate it. And we want to thank you guys so much for your continued support. And if this is something that you enjoy watching and you want to help support it, then just head over to patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Good luck in your own pre-releases. God, I hope I get this up on the Saturday night so you guys can watch it and get all primed up for your Sunday fun times. But the sets seem sweet.
Yeah.
Everybody seems super amped today.
I just realized I'm a meathead.
Why?
Because I kept EOTing like Titan Strength so I'd be able to untap and play things. I should have just done it like pre-combat main phase.
And took their
and
creature.
took their stuff.
Yeah,
like shackles.
And then actually like +3/+1.
Yeah.
You're like, go to combat, take your dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, no, I'm stupid.
Now you know.
I mean, you only
Misplaced.
went 4-0-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Plays like that, it was just sack mode.
Casual.
Yeah, no, filthy casual. Oh, makes those victories so much better.
Dismal failure.
Yeah.
Paul's got it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will see you next week for the next episode of Tap Tap Concede.
Later.